hear the voices inside my head, the voices behind the wall, uplifting the underdog, we fighting above the law.
Hey y'all, cotton candy boobs. Hey guys. Hey Kim Maple, Miss Robin, Pointer, Anissa, Chaos Queen, Granny Colette, Unsolved with Barb. Did I say Kim Maple? Hey Cat Eyes, Hattie Jen. Hey Bullhorn Betty. Let's see. Oh, now it's moving. Okay. Sectanon, Lil Wang, Carols, Jules. Hey Deb. Hey everyone. So you guys, I actually just got. We're gonna watch this documentary called Voices for Vera. I just came across this and it is disturbing. And that's putting it very, very mildly. It is disgusting. It's disturbing. Trigger warning. Like if you are easily triggered and you are a survivor and or a victim of any type of abuse, this documentary is going to be triggering to you because it's absolutely triggering to me. But I could not stop comparing everybody in it to everyone who surrounded themselves in summer wells and people that say the wells are innocent or whatever, you know, they're not arrested yet. A year later, they're still not arrested. They must be innocent. I think that this documentary and this story is going to open your guys' eyes to a lot of troubling things because in Vera's story, it should be an entire family and group of people that are in prison for life for what happened to this woman. It is disturbing and it will make people say, oh, okay, well, just because they're not in trouble, or let's say we know what happened to Summer. Summer comes back one way or another, and let's say only one person or two people get in trouble, but there should be multiple people in trouble. Like, this is when justice absolutely is not justice. It's not proper justice. It's not at all. And I think it's very troubling. Hey, squids. Now, there's been several people who are locals and who have reached out to me, and we're going to get them on a show because I want to go through this. They are trying to bring charges against this grandma. Like, you guys are going to hear things that are disturbing and wild, and if you don't think about Allie and Candace and Grandis while watching this, I don't like, yeah, this is a very disturbing documentary. So I am going to pause it in between because I'm not sure. I did try to reach out to the people, but I didn't hear in time. So I don't know. But other people have it on their channel, so hopefully it'll be okay. But yeah, this is definitely not, like, if you have children in the room, you do not want them in the room. You do not want them anywhere near hearing anything about this. Hey, Stitching. Hey, everyone. And Sherry Brooks, the leader of this horrible family, a bloodline of monsters, you guys. It's disturbing AF. Hey, Darzella. Hey, everyone. Hey, Chris, Punksy, everyone coming in. Hey, Lanky. But I do think it's important because I've never heard of Vera's story before. Hey, Laura. Hey, Casper. I have not heard about it before. I was looking for different cases and watching documentaries to see, like, what else could we talk about while we're waiting for new news about Summer, you know, or, you know, what else could we bring attention to? And this documentary came up, and so we started Googling about it while watching it because it's so bizarre. Like, do you guys know, like, in movies like Overkill, like, this family is they're, beyond monsters, if that makes sense. They are fucking animals, and it's just disturbing. So I'm just gonna we're gonna start it. Welcome to the Crazy Train, Crystal. True, true. Thank you for becoming a member. Again, trigger warning, you guys. It's disturbing. I mean, the documentary shows pictures of disturbing things. It's a little bit blurry, but it is disturbing. So just forewarn. And it covers mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, gangs, multiple murders, child essay, and more, and incest and more. Okay, so trigger warning. I'm gonna find it here and pull it up. And you guys are certainly welcome to watch it without my commentary on it tonight, but I thought it's important. So I think it's about an hour and a half long. So after we go through this documentary tonight, I have invited people because I've had a lot of people reach out to me when I've been mentioning and tagging Vera. And so, yeah, the proper justice has not been used in Vera's case. So I think Vera still needs her voice out there, in my opinion. Just, as you guys will find out for yourself. And I think I've seen a lot of like protests that happen and petitions going on to try and get proper justice, and people proper justice. Oh, okay. Okay, why is it doing that? Hey, Tammy Ayo. Hello, everyone coming in. Okay. Okay. Just 1 second, guys. Okay, that's not what I want. I want this. All right, I'm pulling it up. Sorry. Boop. Okay. Booyah. There we go. All right. All right, there it is. Huh. Why is it doing that? It'll probably be in my history. I got to go back because I was also going back through all of my phone calls and all of the text messages, all of the voice memos and interviews with Don, because I'm looking for a specific night that happened with Don Wells. So yeah, I've been blah, 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 blah. Okay. No. Okay, hold on. Oh, no. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I know I pulled it up this morning. Here it is. Okay. Wait, is this the actual full one? Hold on 1 second, guys. Yes. Okay. All right. I found it. Oh. Seriously? Did that just happen? All right. So I'm going to share screen. Found it, guys. I found it. Okay. Again, trigger warning. This is very disturbing. Make sure you don't have the kiddos in the room with you. And I am going to pull it up now. And we are going to, I am going to, this will be left up because this isn't going to be, we're going to go through this tonight. And then there's going to be conversations about this for sure in the future. Like I said, there's several people that have reached out to me that know about this. They know people who are like, they know locals and people involved. And so we're definitely going to be having discussions about this because there is still proper justice that should be in the works for Vera to, she was brutally murdered, you guys. And I mean, terrible. You'll see. Okay. Share. Okay. Let me pull up chat really quick because I won't be able to have StreamYards on. Okay. Okay. All right. So now I can see chat. Welcome to the crazy train, Lil Wang. Thank you. Choo choo. Okay. So here we go. Am I sharing? Yes. Okay. Here we go.
Vera did as she was told and went with her killers, knowing she was going to die.
Danny was just like, get your coat and shoes on now, we're leaving, we're going for a walk.
When they told her to put her shoes on, she was like yelling, why? Like, why? Why do you want me to get my shoes on?
Okay, so everyone in this is going to piss you off. Okay, you can tell people are lying very much just like the Wells, Candace, and, Allie. Like everyone. The Wells, the Harrises, the Blairs, the Harers, Blys, whatever. All of them. The Browns.
And Zachary went up to her and said, just get your effing shoes on.
Had she been given one final wish, it would have been to say goodbye to Willadean, her precious little girl. But instead, her last farewell came from the baby's grandmother, who knew this was the end.
And as I laid my head down, all I seen was a vision of Danny, Nicole.
Yes, real people, not reenactment. These are the real people. And I just got this bitch's phone number tonight. So I haven't called her yet, but we will be. We'll be calling this bitch.
And Vera's purple hoodie of them walking outside on the porch. And I said, good night, Vera. And she said, good night. She said, good night, sugar baby. And I said, good night.
She had 15 minutes to live.
She should be in jail. She should be. They all should be, to be honest. I'm not sure, Angelina. If he did, I'll have to look. I hate that I have the same name as this monster.
Sugar baby now. Got no sugar baby now. All I can do is seek peace with you, and I can't get along this way.
heartbreaking, Indiana girl. Absolutely. She is nasty. It is shocking.
No sugar baby now.
Yeah, I've seen her compared to the female Charles Manson.
Sugar baby now.
Yeah.
All I can do is seek peace with you. What more can a poor boy do? Who'll rock the cradle? Who'll sing the song? Who will rock the cradle when I'm gone? I've got no sugar baby.
Right, Indiana?
Yeah. I've got no sugar baby now. Oh.
Well, when I seen this, I was like, I don't care. Like, if I end up getting a strike for showing this, I'll take it because this is terrible and there needs to be proper justice done. Like, I can't believe when you guys are watching this, just remember people actually send people like Jody Sue Brown and Candace money and defend them and say, oh, well, they have to be innocent, right? Well, they're not arrested yet. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. They must be innocent. Fuck that.
I can do.
And also, if it helps keep and be another platform to have Vera's name out there, I want to do that because Vera has a daughter that I believe, I think this was, 10, 11 years ago. So her daughter is 11 now. So she's absolutely a victim. And because of this, these people should be locked up. Like, this is ridiculous and wild. And yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I get it out there too, because I am pissed. Another Candace, Grandis too. 2013. Hey, Leah. All right, really quick, just another trigger warning. Like I said, this is going to cover, and it shows pictures and stuff. It's going to cover every type of abuse you can think of. So yeah, you don't want to have your kids around. So just, take this time. I'm going to count to 10 and make sure you don't have no kiddos around because it gets quite disturbing now. So, all right, ready? Okay, I'm going to start it.
The case began on a cold spring morning.
They had her laying, instead of having her laying on the rails, they had her laying in between the tracks.
It's like if here's the two tracks, she was in the middle. And he was going so fast with the train that he looked down and he thought that it was a baby deer.
And the engine and 8 cars went over her.
He stops the train, gets out and walks back thinking that
Trigger warning, it's coming. A picture's coming up.
he was going to find the carcass of a deer. Because the train, the cars were still over her. It looks under, sees that it's a human. Terrible.
Family Police Department, Biggs.
Hello, this is Christmas CSX Railroad.
Yes.
Hey, we just got a report that we have a train stopped over near
Thanks,
Central
Mods.
Parkway, right in between there across the Blanchard River.
Okay.
Tammy Ayo, I will say that the family here tried to get custody of the daughter and a judge denied it and put the daughter in foster care. As you will see why watching this, and you will see why she's probably in some kind of protective foster care right now, because she would be at risk probably for kidnapping just like I was. I figure because these people are fucking sick and they are free currently. So
We got a report that we have a train stop right now because they see a naked female body laying in the middle of the track.
do you guys want the closed caption on? Do you like the captions on? Hey, Holy Sin.
Appears to be deceased.
The location of this grisly discovery could not have been more symbolic. On a train trestle in the center of Findlay, Ohio,
Terrible.
a town once designated by an official act of Congress as Flag City, USA. It is known for its good schools,
Okay,
low
I'll leave that
crime,
one. Okay.
and famous sports stars. And little girls dream of becoming homecoming queens and cheerleaders. But now someone had taken a knife to this picture of all-American bliss and left one little girl under the central overpass.
Okay, yes, sorry, Frankie. I want to do it from my reading of it for it to be like a reaction to have still me showing on it instead of full screen. So I apologize that it's on a tiny screen for you.
Slashed,
Hey,
bruised,
Xena.
and slaughtered.
After I found out, you know, she got murdered and everything, it broke my heart. Because me and my sister did everything together.
Right, Brandy?
2
I
months
can't believe it
earlier,
either.
Findlay police responded to a domestic violence call at 300 Center Street.
You hear this? 2 months earlier. 2 months.
This was not the first time Vera's abuse had been reported, but if anyone was paying attention, they would have seen the violence getting worse.
I was there a few times when the cops was called. They'd come, be like, we need to speak to Vera, and Zachary and Sherry and them would tell her, don't say Zachary did anything. Or be like, you fell down the steps, you did it.
Another case where everyone around Vera just kept their mouth shut and allowed it to happen, and they all failed her terribly. Not only did they fail Vera, but they failed Vera's daughter as well, clearly.
It was your fault.
Only this time, the quote, "I tripped and fell" excuse would not work. A problem soon solved
Well, welcome, Marge.
with a better lie.
When her boyfriend, what is his name?
They said it was a black dude that I guess she was supposedly dating, but I believe he was a created character, as they call it in the video game world.
I can't even think of his name now, but it's...
No, this is the story about Vera. Her last name is in the description. This is about her story and having her voice and making sure that we have her name and face on as many platforms as possible again, because proper justice has not been served in this whatsoever. So I don't want to say, like, someone emailed me that is a local and that knows people personally, and they were like, please make sure it's like more dedicated towards Vera and don't make it about this bitch right here. And I absolutely. Vera-Jo. Yes, Vera-Jo. So this is Vera-Jo's story, her and her daughter. Her daughter is a survivor of these monsters, and Vera unfortunately did not survive. So, hi, Steph.
Demetrius Jones, I think it was.
She made up the Desmond Thompson guy from Lima.
You see right there, it's already different names. She can't even remember what name, what lie she told. Hey, Mallory.
And he had busted her nose because she had to go out to the hospital. She had a bump here, and they said she might have a concussion and bleeding.
They come up with this story saying that Vera had a boyfriend, a black man that was out of Lima or somewhere, and he come up here and got in a fight and punched her in the face and broke her nose. But that's not true. It was her son, Zachary.
He came downstairs, went straight to his mom, asked her what happened, and Sherry just came up with an excuse saying that Vera was the one that pushed her own daughter into the coffee table. And Zachary just listened to what she said, went over to Vera, swung his fist, and hit her in the face.
Even more chilling is what happened next, when Zach and Sherry brought in a third party to finish the beating.
Zachary got a hold of his aunt, Sam, and when
Baby, will you bring me a drink when you can? Love you.
Vera didn't give her a straight answer, Samantha,
I know, Prairie.
just straight up punched her in the face again.
Broke her nose.
This January.
And they all know that. They all sit there. They're all telling, oh, yep. And they're really no reaction. You're going to see the one dude, but you can tell all of them have mental problems because these are the Sherry Brooks bitches' kids. And it's terrible. Like, you're gonna find yourself pissed with every single person, because I am, because it's like you're sitting here telling the story and now everyone is just dogging the grandma, Sherry. But really, if you hear what's coming out of all of their mouths, they should all just lock them up and throw away the key, because they have no empathy or nothing. It's ridiculous.
The assault is a glaring example of how the system failed Vera.
Chatty Jen.
They talked to me and Vera both together because Vera wouldn't talk to nobody unless I was there in front of her.
She wasn't allowed to talk unless she was told to talk by Sherry. Nobody else, just Sherry. Sherry had to be the one to tell her she could talk.
That astounds me to this day. That
Me
the
too.
police did it, or wasn't there a social worker?
I asked Vera if I could speak with her. Vera looked at Sherry for approval. Sherry stated, "You can talk to her." I informed Vera I had been told by someone that was concerned about her well-being that Sherry Brooks had done that to her face. I also informed her I was being told she was being held against her will inside the house. Vera denied all allegations and then began to say she stated she likes it with the Brooks family and that she was happy there.
There. I mean, it's just sort of police 101 that you say, I want to know what she's going to say, and I know that woman's going to get in the way, so I'm taking her somewhere else, and she's staying there. They could have done that. They could have said, no, you're not coming, you're staying there.
Except telling
Amy, I don't know what statement you're referring to, but we're not talking about that this evening. This evening is about Vera.
Sherry no is easier said than done.
You can tell me to do something, but I'm going to listen to you.
To say that Findlay PD was familiar with 300 Center Street is an understatement. Even on the day of the murder, earlier that afternoon, police were dispatched to break up a neighborhood brawl.
Who are the cops that were investigating this? We're going to get into all that, BT Mom, because I don't know what the heck is going on. Again, just like I don't understand why the Wells kids were in that house when multiple times the police were out there. And
That's what you wanted. That's the only flavored water you could find.
vitamin water? I'll try it, baby. Thank you.
Hot water, and then there's the bubbly stuff.
Ooh, thank you. He got me Aquafina Plus vitamins. CBE. Strawberry kiwi. Num num. Okay, sorry. They're saying hi to you, babe. Yes, justice for Vera and her daughter as well. How do you say her name? Wildeama? Wildeama? Am I saying that right? I can't be. Yes, CPS fails everywhere. The police, the law enforcement fail. And I don't understand it, but it's terrible in this case. And it definitely makes you wonder in the Wells case.
Cops were there earlier because of a fight that I guess broke out because I was woken up.
And while they knocked at the door, Sherry was busy inside.
How I got woken up was Sherry, my mother, sent Vera up to wake me up.
They had to hide Vera because the police would have taken her out if they'd have seen how bruised up she was.
But the police were not there for Vera. They'd been called to a street fight.
There was a fight between Danny.
So there's a street fight happening outside, but still they knew the cops were coming, so they hid Vera. Just in case the police were to, pop up over there, I guess, because it's their people that are fighting. So that's ridiculous. So definitely, I mean, possible they were hiding Summer.
And my kids with the people
it's
down
all right.
the street.
It should be colder.
Zachary, Garth, Chucky, Danny, and Nicole. They all went down there.
Danny had got out of prison like 3 weeks before all this happened.
A detail that made the officers immediately worried.
Yeah, I think.
Like when I first met him, I was actually kind of like intimidated because he has tears on his eyes.
That lets other inmates know once you walk in the door. See
Right,
this?
Alicia.
I killed once, I'll do it again.
The fight was finished by the time police arrived. And while they interrogated the other gang, the Brooks
Look at that.
boys were in the house.
Look at that house. Look at that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's disturbing.
Getting ready to flee.
You can't tell me Daniel and Nicole's the only one that escaped the house because they don't know Findlay. They're from Tiffin.
He had went over to
Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's just a little warm, but it is pretty good.
Dave and Sam's, the
Damn,
hideout
yeah.
is when I heard, because I remember seeing them jump out my window and told Nikki, let's go. and they jumped out the window and went over to Dave and Sam's.
Playing a much greater role would be the third person who jumped out Sherry's window, her son, Zachary.
Me, Danny, and Zach were actually running from the police because Danny had pulled out a knife on one of the Brooks' neighbors. Zach had a warrant, and I knew I had a warrant on Tiffin.
In that short run from the Brooks house here to the Schwab house there, Zachary, Danny, and Nicole began a chain of events that would end 5 hours later with Vera dead on the tracks.
They ran to this house right here. And that's where Sherry even admitted they were at, was right here. And how close is that to the tracks where Vera was murdered?
Right.
But right then, police had one priority: to find the guy running around Finley, flashing a knife and wearing a teardrop tattoo.
Jesus. If Sherry said to do something, it went down. Danny Bixler.
In the first news reports, it seemed that Daniel Bixler was some crazy, distant cousin who blew in from Tiffin, a town 25 miles east of Findlay. An impression supported by the fact that only 3 weeks before he'd been released from Allen Correctional after serving almost 3 years in prison.
He admitted he was in a gang at the prison, the 211 boys, as he called it.
Once free, Danny went on a spree of escalating.
Yeah, they say that. They do say that about Grandma with, yes, being very inappropriate.
Violence beginning at this park, where, in an act of twisted chivalry, he attacked a teenager who had refused to give up a park swing to his new girlfriend, Nicole Peters. It was this assault charge that sent the fugitive couple on the lam, fleeing Tiffin before Danny got arrested.
Yeah, he ran away from it. That's why he came to Finley, to hide.
The reason Danny felt comfortable turning to Sherry is obvious. He was not a distant cousin at all, but a close member of the family. Best illustrated by Sherry's relationship with the other Danny Bixler, his father.
He was like a boyfriend.
Oh yeah, Danny and I go. They call us the kissing cousins.
From this incestuous romance, Sherry conceived the first of her 9 children, Scotty Emmons.
Scotty Emmons belongs to Danny Bixler, Sr., her mother's sister's kid. He would be her cousin.
The incest kind of stuff that's in our family.
In 2008, Big Danny stabbed his wife's lover and led police and sheriffs from 3 different counties on a high-speed chase in an 18-ton semi.
When he gets a temper, boys, both of them, when they get a temper, you can't handle them.
Even Danny had said it's in the Bixler blood. I'm meant to kill, I guess.
For a homicide that started out with a naked dead
Terrible.
woman with no ID, no witnesses,
Trigger
no
warning,
murder
guys.
weapon, no suspects, and no apparent motive, Findlay police solved the case incredibly fast.
She had been to the hospital before. There was a social worker involved. She had bruises. She had been beat. So it's not like...
I'm not sure how old she is. Like I said, I'm brand new to this case. I watched this one time and got pissed and then planned to bring this story to you guys so that we could help be extra voices for her. I'm not sure how old she would be. Probably later 20s, if I'm not mistaken by now. I'm not sure, but we're going to be digging more into this all together and learning and educating on this case to see how can we all be helpful in the community to put our voices together and be helpful in this because like I said, they're still trying to get proper justice for Vera.
You know, this was a surprise.
When they do ask you to talk, is there any big points you plan to come across to them?
I will make sure that they know that Desta Bixler
Danny, when he was drunk,
what the fuck was that?
Kind of basically told her every single detail about the murder.
While we were drinking, they were smoking all my cigarettes. So we decided to go down to the gas station, which isn't that far from here. And so we walk down there and we see the train has stopped. And then I'm like sitting here thinking, like, why is the train stopped at like 3 or something in the morning? And I asked the lady at the gas station, I'm like, do you know why the train stopped? I'm like, was there something wrong with the engine? Just being nosy. And she's like, no, they found a body. And I look back at Danny and he's just staring, like he's froze. And that's right then I knew everything that was being said was true. Like, I mean, I was scared.
In addition to Desta's information, police also learned that there had been an eyewitness after all.
Across the street from the Brooks' home, there was a camera out there for surveillance.
Right, not your
And
cigarettes.
they seen them walk across the street.
The grainy video shows three figures, Danny Bixler, Vera Reigle, and Nicole Peters, in a single file line walking south.
They did have the knife towards her, that if she was screaming.
Okay, this dude, you're gonna keep seeing him like chuckle and smile and stuff. Now, he reminds me a lot of Burke Ramsey. Is that his name? John Benet Ramsey's brother. You know how he has disabilities or some kind of social disabilities, and so he like laughs and smiles at inappropriate times because he's mentally unstable in some way. And this guy is very much like, I keep seeing Burke Ramsey when this guy talks, and he's going to piss you off because he's going to keep smiling throughout this. And I just think that they're all mentally out of their mind. You can tell they're all like, I think they even say they do heroin or something. Thank you, Betsy. This documentary literally made me sick to my stomach. Yes. Me and Mr. Sher were like, we watched this and we were like, what the freak? Like, everything they done, it was almost like, for real. It's overkill in your mind when you're thinking like everything they've done, everything that you can think of that's terrible to someone, they've done it. You know what I mean? It is terrible.
Or anything that they would stab right then and there.
Confronted with this mounting
Again, well,
evidence,
you knew that, and you like nobody stopped this from happening, and they all knew that this girl was going to be killed because they all knew she wasn't being treated right and was probably going to die from how she was being treated anyway. Ridiculous. She committed a lot of sexual abuse on small children. Yeah, they get into that. So again, trigger warning, you guys. This is definitely not the show you want little ones to hear or see tonight, but they do get into that and say specific things that she's done to babies even, and it's gross.
Stanley first tried to push blame on others,
Welcome, Mystic. Choo choo. Thank you for becoming a member.
then started making damning admissions. By mid-afternoon, he and his interrogators were driving back to the train bridge, returning to the scene of the crime.
I ended up taking the knife and throwing the knife in the river.
There, he pointed to the spot where, just 18 hours earlier, he threw the murder.
Vera to them. So Vera was, I don't even know how Vera really got in there. I think they get into it, but she was dating Sherry's son, Zachary. So she was, she called her daughter-in-law. Yeah.
Weapon into the water.
The blade that he used was from the kitchen.
Danny picked it out of my knife set, and he was playing with it and twirling it and all that.
For her part, Nicole was more tight-lipped, and to this day, exactly what she did at the tracks remains a mystery.
Yeah, they're free, but 2 people are in jail. I don't even think they got life. I'm not 100%. And they're trying, there's petitions and stuff. They are trying to get other people. Sherry should be in prison for life. So especially Sherry. I do think she was the ringleader, but I think everybody should have gotten some time. Even if people were scared, they were watching this happen and allowed her to be treated for years as a slave and be beaten. She was going to die from her injuries at some point. So they allowed her to be beaten and enslaved and all of these things, and the things not just disturbing, and nobody did anything to stop it. And again, it just reminds me of everyone that surrounded Summer. Terrible people.
But she still
All
was
around.
not as skilled at lying as the Brooks family, and it did not take long for her to implicate herself as well. The detectives had caught the
Yes,
murderers.
she did stuff. Yeah.
The people that were charged.
I'm gonna have to watch the show on this. Wow, so much I can't follow who's who. Yeah, it's a lot. So a lot of them are Sherry's sons, and then the girlfriends to Sherry's sons. So as you'll go to find out, Sherry wanted her sons to, as soon as they were like 16, be with women and start having babies. She really needed little girls. And yeah, you'll see. We're good.
were Daniel Bixler,
You ain't seen nothing
Nicole
yet.
Peters, and then people that lied to the police, which there's quite a few of those. Zachary Brooks, Sherry Brooks, Shannon Brooks, and Michael Brooks. And then they
I think she was 17
have a
when she
juvenile
died.
son
So
that
she was
also
with them for a couple
participated in lying
years.
to the police, and his name is Chuck Brooks.
And so everyone zeroed in on Danny, the out-of-control ex-con, and Nicole, his bloodthirsty girlfriend.
How old are you today?
18,
How old were you when this offense was committed?
17.
Some girls go for the bad boys.
Like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing, but with a
Very cult,
evil
like
twist.
they say. Yep.
I've known him since I was younger. I met him at the Seneca County Juvenile Detention Center, and I used to hang out with his brother, Richard Bixler, and that's how I met Danny.
She was obsessed with this man. Like, she'd constantly talk about him. Everything, all of her letters were about how much she was devoted to him, how much she loved him. She cared about him a lot.
They had only been together
Right,
for like a week and a
Ayo, I don't
half.
know.
So he was out for a week and a half, and then they started dating for the other week and a half that he was out, and then boom, he's right back in again.
An indication of how authorities struggled with this bizarre case from the very beginning is that they did not inform the public for a day and a half after the body was discovered.
Vera's mom didn't even find out about it from the police or anybody. They went directly to Sherry first. And I think that's a bunch of crap. You know, the police department wouldn't go directly to her own mother.
Did you have to identify the body?
Okay, so yeah, that's another thing. This is Vera's mom right here. Right here with the glasses right here. This is Vera's mom. Somehow they went past her and just went directly to Sherry for everything. Sherry's the one who ID'd Vera's body. Like, everything went through Sherry, and somehow that was allowed to happen in some way. I don't even understand it, because Sherry lied and said that her mom was dead, that Vera's mom died.
No, because Sherry already identified it. Because Sherry told the police that Vera's parents died. I'm supposed to be dead. I've died like 3 different times, 3 different states.
According to who?
Sherry.
These deceptions, which she hones over time, come in 2 types: lies to protect and lies to instigate. What happened next is an example of the former.
We met Larry one time because he stopped out front of our house, and Samantha Schwab was at our house, and she went outside and smacked Larry because they got into a fight because they owed money to her and stuff. And he started talking to us, and then next thing I know, he started hanging around our house like a leech.
The Larry Spencer guy shows up. This guy who's been at the house once or twice suddenly is being accused of taking Vera away and probably killing her.
Because I've talked to Larry, and Larry said that they tried to tell the detectives that was him that killed her.
To those who knew about Vera's life inside the Brooks house, the story on its face was ridiculous.
They said, oh, she took off with her boyfriend. Well, she wasn't really allowed to have a boyfriend except for Zachary, because she wasn't allowed to go anywhere with anybody.
Right.
They wouldn't even let her have a cell phone.
Sherry said that she didn't need one because then she could get a hold of her mom, or she could talk to her.
They didn't even let her have a cell phone, you guys.
Whoever she wanted to.
After Danny and Nicole were arrested, the cover story was modified to fit the changing situation.
She'll basically change the story up, and she'll basically confuse everybody.
And she's trying to cover up a murder.
Sound
Period.
familiar?
The witch's spell had worked like a charm.
I believe that my own mother had this set up perfectly. She knew exactly how to do it.
She can get away with shit.
Yeah.
There are certain things that she's done in her life that should have been put her behind bars, and it was pretty much slap on the hand. Go ahead, walk away.
Sound
Gone are
familiar
any
again?
questions about what role she and her family played in Vera's death.
You just not want to say my name on there saying that I had anything to do with this.
Now,
I'll fucking say it. I 100% believe that Sherry had everything to do with this, and she created a family of mental patients.
Now it was as if they were just passive spectators. The only thing people wanted to know was how they could sit there and watch Dan
And Sherry, I did tag you in this. So if you happen to watch this and you want to come at me, bro, go right the fuck ahead. I have your phone number. I plan on calling you anyway.
and Nicole do something so barbaric.
I asked her a million times, Sherry, why didn't you call? Why? Why?
I mean, even a 5-year-old knows if somebody's being hurt, you call the police.
And as the accusations intensified,
right,
the truth of what happened got further and
yes,
further
Mr.
away.
J. Yes.
Like someone's really going to be there to help me say, hey, go get the phone over there off of my computer stand so I can call the cops.
I definitely wondered that. Hey, Granny, I definitely did wonder, Darzilla, if they watched this, because you do know that Dawn and I sent back multiple cases and talked about cases. I did wonder if they knew about this case, because it seems like if everyone's just, I don't even know. I honestly don't know how they're not locked up, especially when you got the whole family, it looks like, throwing her under the bus. How is she not locked up? She did fake her death, and then some locals have told me, like, no, she's not dead. In fact, I think she even tried to have a GoFundMe, if I'm not mistaken. I think I found a GoFundMe.
You know, Nikki's not gonna give me a phone. Dan's not gonna give me the phone. Scotty sure in the world's not gonna give me the phone. And Shannon, her fat ass, was sitting on the couch playing with her phone.
I wish I would have had my phone working, because it was dead and I had no minutes, even though I know you can call 911 off of it. But
then, okay, so you got Sherry saying that, oh, well, Shannon was on her phone. Why didn't she call? Like, I couldn't just grab a phone and call and help Vera. But why didn't Shannon? Shannon had her phone. Then you got Shannon saying, well, I wish my phone was working. My phone didn't work at all. So even though I know when your phone doesn't work, you still call 911. But oops. Get the fuck out of here. Complainant said that her sister is being beaten and kept hostage by the Brooks. No report was ever filed. September 13, 2010, Findlay Police dispatch log showing call from Ashley 6 months before the murder. No report was ever filed. Terrible.
No matter her age, Vera was still a child.
Yes, intuition.
If there's a way she could do it, she would do it. You know, never complain, always help.
Anissa, it absolutely is a lot to take in, and we are only 20 minutes into an hour and a half of it, and it keeps getting worse and worse. So again, trigger warning, you guys, you ain't heard nothing yet, and I'm sorry, but I think it's important that you guys hear this and just see the things that are possible, and that just because people may be not in jail, you know, so they must be innocent. No, fuck that.
She'd help you any way she could.
If you told Vera something, she'd do it. I mean, she didn't question. Almost to the point that it was too much. I wish she could have maybe stood up for herself a little more.
She was mentally challenged. She was slow.
And Sherry and them end up talking her into moving in with them. And, you know, and then she ended up hooking up with Sherry's son.
For Vera, her old life was gone, like she had joined a cult and got separated from her past.
When Manson put ideas in his minions to where he's pretty much the puppet master and he's doing his puppets to do his dirty works for him.
Brooks family being like the Manson family, yeah, I have to agree with that. They are like that.
they're a family that makes sense, whatever she meant by that. Yes.
It's a cultish type of thing, and I really believe they saw her as an easy target.
Again, does this shit sound familiar, people?
We was at the Salvation Army, and she came in with the Brookses, and she see me, and she kind of lit up, because she always smile, you know, like that, you know. And she'd come over, she put her hood up, and as she walked by, can't talk, can't talk, can't talk.
She'd stop, and I'd put my arms on her and give her a big hug and ask her where her baby was. And she said, oh, she's at home, but boy, she just run away. I mean, flat run. There wasn't no stopping and talking. And that's not Vera.
Because they didn't want her to talk to no one.
Terrible.
About what was happening at the house. That's what they were afraid of.
they basically did not allow Vera to maintain a relationship with her parents.
It didn't take long for people to see a change.
Before she started dating Zach, she was happy.
She was pretty much outgoing. I mean, she loved to sing. She liked to dance.
Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton. She liked all the older country.
But when she moved in with them, she changed real quick.
What I can't see is the Vera that I knew willingly massaging Sherry's feet.
That was her job there, was to rub her feet. I guess she has foot problems because of diabetes or something, but that was her job.
When she did Mom's feet, if she did something wrong, Mom would hit her with the itchy stick.
Well, Sherry had this like
Carol.
not a back scratcher, but it's a little bit thicker. She'd just wet her alongside the head. Don't touch my baby.
And Vera would just keep telling her, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
She'd say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Why she was saying I'm sorry for, I don't know. Because I guess she just felt she was doing something wrong.
They even made her sleep with a pig.
You're allowed to have a pig live in a closet to where he urinates and has feces all over.
Okay. I want you to remember that she just said that Vera would always apologize and keep saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And she said, I don't know why she was apologizing. I don't know why she would always say, I'm sorry. Remember that she said that, okay? Because later she's going to say that Vera would never apologize. Vera never apologized for anything.
Oh, no, I'd never make her sleep with the pig. But she didn't. Of course she did. She made her sleep with the pig.
They had the cops called continuously, children's services called continuously, and God knows why nobody done anything, to even remove the baby itself out of that home. I don't understand that.
She was such a frequent flyer, as we call them, that you could answer the phone, and as soon as she says the first word, you know who it is. You eventually become kind of desensitized to them calling, and it's not that people mean to do that. It's just, that the major problems are ones that nobody's going to cooperate.
Vera told the cops, no, I'm not moving back home with you guys. And the cops said, how old are you?
Vera's cognitive level, I would compare to my daughter who's 8 years old. Okay. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't expect the police to take my daughter's word for it. You know what I mean?
Because Vera even told CPS. When CPS asked her, Vera, are you in danger here? Do you like it living here? Vera said, I love Sherry. I love staying here with Sherry and her family.
Again, sound familiar? Because Don sure liked to talk highly of himself. Summer loved me the most. I don't know what I did to deserve it. Like Candace would take her out and do stuff, but she really wanted me. She loved me the most. It is very sad, you guys. And again, I'm going to warn you, it gets even worse. It continues to get worse and worse.
She says, Sherry's my family. She helps me out, and I would never leave Sherry.
They came back here and told me that they talked to her, and because she was 24 years old, even though her mind was an 8-year-old mind, they couldn't do anything because she was 24 years old and she made her choice. It was her bed. She needed to lie in it.
It was total control.
And they'd make her do just pretty much everything, and nobody else would take up and do something around the house. It was always her.
They actually treated her like a slave.
They wanted her as a slave and her SSI check that she got first of the month.
That was legal. They got that done. Don't know how they did it, and who knows? I mean, they must know enough.
It sounds like they got a pretty good racket going. Maybe I ought to go on SSI and have people stay here with me, and they sign over their paychecks to me.
And each of them getting around $700 a month, coming into one place.
Sherry's on disability, all of her kids are on disability, and then everybody else that moves in with them are on disability.
But more than Vera's money.
Because BT mom, she was technically, just a few minutes ago, they said the police wouldn't do anything because she was technically 24 years old. So she would say, no, I like it here. I want to stay here. I'm fine. Sherry's good to me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and it's fucked. And even though she was mentally an 8-year-old, she was the age of 24.
Sherry wanted her womb.
Everybody that gets pregnant that lives in that house, you know, she always says, oh, I hope you have a girl, you know.
Vera-Jo Reigle was killed because of 2 conflicting motives.
I have 4 kids of my own. I have 3 girls and 1 boy. Well, when I first had my first daughter, she said she wanted it because it's a girl.
Because in her mind, any girl that she could get, she was going to get.
The primary motive was based in Sherry's obsession with baby girls, an abnormal perversion that began in childhood when she, like Vera, was sexually abused by her own father.
He molested her quite often, I guess.
The man who nicknamed her Sugar Babe.
That's her #1 name right there, Sugar Babe. That's what everybody calls her.
Since I was a little girl, my dad gave that name to me before I was put in foster home.
Okay. So she is proud of that name, which is disturbing, you guys. Hey, baby.
Hey, honey.
What you doing? You want to go for a ride, don't you? So she calls herself that name and is proud of it. So that's what she goes by. That's even what her social media name is and everything. It's disturbing.
I actually felt sorry for her. She did tell me about, you know, her experiences with her father and how he had raped her, and I began to kind of understand a little bit of how this woman come to be the way she is.
As a young child, Sherry and her 3 siblings became wards of the state.
She was put in the children's home when taken away from her mom when she was like 3 years old, and then she came back when she was 16.
It was then she made her first attempt to take someone else's baby.
She told us when she come home and she was 16 that she had a baby over here in Tiffin and that the welfare wouldn't let her have it.
And my mother would always say, did you have a baby while you were in foster care? Because if so, I'm going to go get it.
Because it was Sherry's baby and that would have been my first grandbaby. So I was going to get it. But B and them said, no, it wasn't Sherry's baby. It was the foster baby there too. It wasn't her baby in the first place. And then we talked to Sandy, and Sandy Snyder says that's the welfare lady that was taking her case and stuff, said that she is an obituary liar. And that's why she's a fantasy world. She lives in a fantasy world life. And that way, whatever she thinks, that's what really happens in her world.
Well, see, she'll tell you something totally opposite than what everybody else is telling her.
Of course.
She'll lie.
She's many times done it, and people have fallen in her trickery, and they believe everything she said.
Because she's convincing about everything. I mean, she convinces everybody everything.
She doesn't want a child. She wants a
Who
baby.
will hold your hand as each one walks out of your home to pain that will put my mark in your hand? And I'm talking about Sherry losing all of her kids one at a time.
I'm really confused about all that because I thought once you have kids taken that you're not allowed, especially if you have 5. You have all those kids taken and then you have a second round of kids and you're allowed to keep those?
They removed Maria and 2 other, well, Scotty was one, Michael was one, and then there was another one, but I don't know the name.
Which was Joshua, Michael, Maria, and little Sherry, was all taken away from me.
In 3 of the cases, she lost custody, at least in part, due to reports of sexual abuse.
My sister was coming over to pick her up, wanted to take her out to her house. And the railroad tracks was right beside her house. So there was a train going by. She didn't hear my sister knocking. And she was even hollering out Sherry's name. And Sherry didn't answer. And she said when she walked in there, Sherry was supposed to be giving the a little baby bathtub thing there. And she was holding the baby up like this here, sucking its penis.
She's sick enough that she even molested me when I was younger.
Sherry's first 5 children were not removed as a group. She would have one, lose it to CPS, then have another, over and over and over.
I seen her more attached when the baby girl was born than when she was with the boys. I mean, when that girl was born, she would let her out of sight, let no one hold the baby. Or if someone did, she would like look at them until they put the baby down. It was just like kind of obsessed with Maria.
By all accounts, it was the loss of this child, baby Maria, that was most traumatic.
She'll always be my girl, my little girl, no matter what. And that she's my first daughter. And that I always want her to know that she's always welcomed here to meet me anytime she wants.
Absolutely fucking not.
Every other kid she had, she didn't take care of right. But Maria, she did real good with Maria. We really was proud of her. She kept her for a whole year.
But in the spring of 1987, Sherry reverted to her old ways, and things went horribly wrong.
My brother one night called me.
Wow. That's something to be proud of. Not keeping her for a whole year. Now, you guys, trigger warning, because it gets worse. You all just, I mean, if you ever, it gets worse because it gets worse, okay? You guys know what we talk about and what we see and hear talking about the cases we do. So trigger warning. I think you all know I warn you every type of abuse in here. So I will warn you, this beautiful baby, you're going to find out something terrible happens to her as well.
Me up saying that we needed to take the baby to the hospital, that she had been molested. She was bleeding from the vagina.
Somebody had raped our little Maria, because when she went to change her diaper, she was all bloody down there.
That night, Sherry reclaimed her baby, but the authorities were on her trail.
They told her to take her to the doctor the next day. Well, Sherry didn't take her to the doctor. So we went over and she says, "Mom, take Maria home with you."
That was at Easter time one time. I took Scotty home with me and I gave her Maria to take home for the night.
And she never let me take Maria home at all. She says, "I'll keep Scotty over here and you take Maria home." So I did.
So am I to believe that this is Sherry's daughter? So your granddaughter lady is been raped. Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. She's been raped as a 1-year-old baby, and you don't take her to the hospital yourself. You told Sherry to, but does this all sound very familiar to you guys? Like, what the fuck? Everybody failed so many children in this situation yet again.
Knock comes through my door the next morning, and here it was the sheriff wanting Maria.
Oh, fucking time. Says Sherry is a predator. She preys on girls who are with her sons.
She wanted all of her boys to at least have one kid by the time they were 16 or 17.
An example of this is Gina Lopez, a 15-year-old girl with a troubled family life who fell in love with Sherry's second to youngest son, Garth.
She is like, "Give me a grandbaby. I like grandbabies. I want another grandbaby."
And as soon as she was carrying a Brooks baby, like Vera before her, the stalking and the threats began.
I had a job at the time. I was working at this little shop at the corner of Center and Main Street. I was working there and they would follow me.
Sherry, Zachary, Garth, and Chucky, they all work as a team.
I
Chucky
agree,
would be the
Pointer. I
one
thought that too.
Always followed me most of the time. Zachary would sometimes.
And then when they knew it was time for her to get off, they would send, it was mostly Chucky, they would send him down to kind of spy on her to see where she went after work or if she came back to the house.
Fortunately for Gina, her pregnancy ended in a miscarriage, and she was able to reconcile with her mother and move to Kentucky, putting a couple of 100 miles between herself and the madness up in Findlay.
Vera loved that baby. That was Vera's pride and joy right there.
She was the one that was always babysitting for Stacy's little girl. She always had her. So I could see her really being a mother to her own child.
Except Sherry was in charge, and she saw things different.
Sherry had a lot of boys. I think she was really, really obsessed with girls, especially since Maria was taken away from her.
And I think, with Vera, I mean, she has a chance to take that one rather easily.
Sherry has always wanted a baby girl again.
She's not in jail, no.
She was going to have somebody make her a child, another daughter, and then she was going to try to take him away from her.
And Sherry said, that's my kid if you get a girl. And she told Zachary, it better be a girl.
She did tell Zachary that if turns out to be a girl, that she wanted him to sign off his rights to her. And he did that. He said that was fine.
And this was not just any womb chosen for the assignment, because Sherry once targeted Vera herself to replace her lost baby.
Yeah, I was there when she lost Maria. I was at another, because we lived on Sandusky Street, a white apartment house there. And her and her ex-husband, Mike, lived upstairs.
For 5 months, from the time baby Vera was born in November until the sheriff took baby Maria at Easter, the two little girls lived in separate units of the exact same house.
She was trying to take over on Vera when Vera was a baby. And I told her, no, that's my baby.
And so remarkably, Sherry ended up taking the baby of the baby she tried to get 24 years earlier.
Wow.
Claiming custody of baby Willadean before she was even born.
Vera was like way out here. You would talk to Sherry or you'd see Sherry as, my baby's in there, my baby. That's my baby, my baby. It's always my baby.
They kept on telling Willadean that Vera wasn't her mom, that Sherry was her mom.
And every time Willadean wanted to come to her mom, like her learning how to walk, she'd walk around and she'd see her mommy and she'd want to run up to her mommy. And Vera would say, no, I'll get in trouble if I touch you.
See, I seen Sherry after Willadean was born, maybe, 4 or 5 months later. You see my new baby? So that's Vera's. No, it's mine. I adopted this baby. So it was no longer Vera's. Vera never had anything, could not do anything with the baby. She touched the baby, Zach hit her. That was Sherry's baby, not Vera's.
Another example of Sherry's control appears in the date of the child's birth.
Well, I'm November 3rd, she's November 4th.
It is here we glimpse the true depth of Sherry's madness.
She gave her castor oil and orange juice.
To have the baby come out earlier than what it was supposed to be.
According to a website with the castor oil industry, the recommended dosage for inducing labor with this old midwiving technique is 2 tablespoons.
Because she gave her that castor oil. We gave her the 3 bottles of it.
And it was about 3 bottles, yeah.
To make her go into labor so she'd be there for her birthday.
Well, it didn't happen on her birthday. It was the day after. Because she bragged about that. She said, well, we didn't get it on my birthday, but it was close.
So she was an early
Wow.
baby and she ended up with having in the hospital for a while because she had heart problems.
Supposedly her
Terrible.
original date was supposed to be December 6th, that she was supposed to come out. But she decided she was coming out to have pumpkin pie and mashed potatoes with Mama for Thanksgiving. So she come out early. And she wanted to meet her Mama.
No. Oh, man, I don't like her. Okay, it's hard knowing my kid has to grow up without a mom now. Zachary Brooks. Oh, please, Zachary. Fuck out of here.
The secondary motive was far more common.
I don't think he really wanted to be with her anymore. He wanted to be with other people, but he couldn't because Sherry wouldn't let Vera leave.
And he just said that they needed to get rid of her and that he was seeing some other girl.
And Vera's relationship with Zach at this point is what?
completely over.
She wanted Zachary because, well, they had a baby together, and she wanted Zachary for herself.
If Zachary, he would get really mad of her being jealous and go over the wall sometimes.
At first, before she got beaten into submission, Vera would fight back.
Vera sometimes could be rebellious. Sometimes she had a lot of anger.
Vera could cuss you. Vera could tear you up.
Zachary ain't allowed to talk to a girl or look at him or anything. She was always mad.
And when she got mad, he got mad.
He whipped a phone at her face, like right here.
Dude. Her eyebrow ring came completely out.
Like meat was hanging out and stuff.
I raised my kids not to hit a girl, but if they're going to put their self in a man's place, then yeah, then do it.
In a normal family, the father would step in and stop this kind of abuse, but not Kevin Brooks Sr.
He's the opposite of Sherry. Where Sherry was loud and upfront and boisterous, Kevin was a background person who liked to stay out of everything, mind his own business.
Even when minding his own business meant letting Vera get beaten.
You know, he's an arch coward.
And you think this thing's happening one day? It's been going on for months and months and months.
And when it became clear that they were really going to kill her, Kevin looked out for Kevin.
He already did his 30 days, but he had, at the time, waiting for his 30 days to get in lockup. He's like, if you're going to kill her, wait till I'm in jail so that way I have an alibi. Those were his exact words.
Crazy as it sounds, if Vera was going to be saved, it would have to have been one of the Brooks boys.
That was Punky. He was the one
Wow.
who was killed in an accident.
Unfortunately, the only one with enough balls to stand up to Sherry was already dead.
He ran that household. Punky ran that household when
Go figure.
his dad and mom were both afraid of him.
On July 3rd, the summer before Vera's murder, Punky was walking with his girlfriend on a dark, rural highway.
They were heading towards their town to go see the fireworks.
That's not what I was told.
That's what Sherry told me. He was going for the fireworks. But yeah, I know he was going for a
He was
drug
going
thing.
to get Heather's heroin.
You know, cab driving by, couldn't see him. Bang!
She's really crazy because of him dying, and the ashes are still at the house and everything, and she won't bury him.
My son's laying up there on his on the bottom shelf in that box.
It seems like she gotten worse. I mean, it's just like Sherry went crazier.
I mean, you talk about Punky, it was like, wow, Punky, you know, all the girls went wild for Punky.
From the night he was hit, Sherry could not accept her son's death was an accident. Now she was out for revenge.
The accident happened 20 minutes before they got any call. And Sherry was all mad about that and then was trying to put the blame on Heather, saying that Heather pushed Punky.
Sherry had told Heather, you know, I just want the truth. Did you push him? And Heather looked at her and said, no, I did not do it.
But when it comes to Sherry's fantasies, what actually happened doesn't really matter.
Heather pushed Punky in front of the Ackerd cab.
No, she didn't.
To help kill my son that night.
Sherry said that Heather is the one that killed Punky, had it set up, so that's why Sherry had Marcy beat Heather.
I actually believe, that Sherry had it done to her own kid. Why? Well, because you'll hear she wanted to be like the head of the gang or what fuck ever is happening.
Marcy was, I believe she was standing on the porch. She was like standing by Sherry. And
just so you guys know, tomorrow we are going to have a open discussion about this and open up the panel so we can discuss it. Because we're not just going to play this tonight and then leave it. Like, this is terrible. So, like I said, I want us to all put our voices and our heads together. And how can we help in this? Because again, proper justice. These people are free. Sherry is free right now and faking her death online. She is not dead. So if you see that online, it's not true.
And Sherry had whispered to her, she said, I need you to do me a favor.
I have
That
her
went
number.
down
I'm gonna
crazy.
call her.
Then out of nowhere, Marcy just takes her hand and starts punching her in the face.
And took her by the head of the hair and rolled her down the steps and started beating the hell out of her.
They're like, bring her to the road, curb stomp her.
And at that time, Heather's nose was like bleeding really bad. You could see that it was broken.
All she kept saying is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And she kept putting her hands up in the air. And Zachary said, this is fucked up.
Then Marcy told her, that'll teach.
Do you see how they're all just sitting there? I think there's a few second delay. So sorry, that's why I don't speak right away when I pause it. I'm waiting a few seconds, but you guys, like, what the fuck? They're all just sitting here. Here he's chuckling again, but again, he's not mentally all there. So I think that's like he is a lot like Burke Ramsey for real. They're all mentally off their shit. Yes, there is incest going on as well. So they're like not mentally stable, right? There's disabilities beyond. But again, they're all just like, where was anyone doing anything? You can talk about it now, okay, but nobody did shit. And there's like so much going on. I cannot grasp this. Like, do you guys see why I can't stop thinking about Summer when I was watching this too? Because it's like everyone, well, they're not in jail yet. Nothing's happened yet. So they're innocent. They're good people. Let's Cash App, PayPal, gang them. Because, if they were guilty of anything, well, they'd be in jail by now, right? What the fuck? Yeah, you can just go it's very easy to do. You get people to go around, or you make up fake accounts and say, oh, blah, 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 died, or you go online, you make a fake obituary. I mean, it's very easy to do and people do it. I don't know why, but they do it. Her probably to get people off her ass and be ridiculous, but no, she's still very much alive. And like I said, we're actually going to call her one day, like probably tomorrow live. Because we're going to have many conversations, and there are people that want to come up and talk who are locals, who know people involved and all that. So we're going to see how can we be helpful? How can we put our heads and our voices together to get proper justice for Vera and her daughter?
Teach you to ever mess with
every victim in there. All of the many kids were victimized in this monstrous family.
with my family again.
Because you killed Punky. You had Punky killed. And you took the best thing away from us all when you had Punky killed.
Like his brother Zach, as well as Danny Bixler, Punky was a member of the Crips street gang.
Punky was supposedly a Crip. And Zachary.
Punky says that he wanted to get Zach to take his place, to be able to fight like he does, and they want to run this town.
Fuck yeah, I'm
It
gonna
was
call her.
then
I'm
that
not afraid of
Sherry
that bitch.
and Zachary really turned on Vera.
At times I lived with them and everything else, they're getting along great.
I'm gonna talk to all of these people that want to talk. I'll be nice and hear them out. But no, I want to hear there's I don't even know how I'd have to be so calm. Mr. Sherrod had to sit here and hold my hand and remind me to fucking just be calm and just let them talk, because I think they're all disgusting. But yeah, oh yeah, you damn right. I want to talk to all of these people, because I'm wondering what the hell is wrong with everybody.
Great, love you, kisses and everything else. And it's like now all of a sudden, Punky dies. It's, I want to beat her.
The pattern began to take shape.
Run, kitty.
There was a candy bar in the room where they had Punky's little memorial thing.
And I know Lisa Casey and Punky, they were really tight together.
I guess the candy bar was supposedly for Punky, and Vera ended up eating it because she was hungry, and they told her she couldn't get out of the room.
And Alyssa went off on her, and she actually had her on the ground, and she punched her maybe twice.
This game of trumping up a charge to get someone else to beat Vera was not an isolated incident.
Oh.
Because he was thinking of people who could beat the crap out of Vera badly. So he just got on his phone and he started calling people or texting people. And as soon as they got the word, they came rushing over.
Zachary Brooks, tough new leader of the Finley Crips,
Right,
was texting
Smokey,
his
right.
dead brother's old girlfriends to come over and assault his defenseless baby mama.
Crystal pushes her down on the floor.
I think that too, Pointer. I think that she had him killed too, and I'm gonna ask her. She answers the phone for me. I'm asking her.
And Zachary's yelling at her, "Come on, hit her, hit her."
And they'd do it. The location was chosen for a very personal reason.
They tried to do the same identical thing to Vera that happened to Travis. Take her to the railroad tracks and lay her out for a train to run over her and cut her head open and, you know.
Travis Puckett was the son of Sherry's baby sister Tabitha.
My nephew Travis was 16 years old, and my sister told him to get the hell out of her house. And
the same age as Zachary, Travis became part of the Brooks Boys gang, hanging out at a local park riding skateboards.
he went taking off down the road, and that's when he jumped the railroad tracks.
So, like, because there's two trains coming at the same time, so he couldn't do nothing.
Oh,
and when Travis went to jump, Travis slipped under and off came Travis's head.
He looked back like this to see his brother Curtis, and when he did, the other train came, and that's when he got pieces like hamburger.
And then he was smashed up like hamburger.
But what's important is not whether Sherry and Zachary consciously wanted to imitate Travis's death. It's that they told the killers about their vendetta against Vera.
I think she was thinking about when Vera accidentally dropped a brick on her foot.
I asked her to come outside with me and help me clean the rabbit cage. And I had a tarp on top of the rabbit cage.
And there's like 4 bricks to keep the tarp on there, so that way it doesn't blow away.
She told me also that Vera had thrown rocks, big, huge, like rocks onto her feet, and that's why her feet had to be wrapped.
Zachary come running outside, and he said, "What's wrong, Mom?" I said, "Bitch fucking dropped that rock on my foot. I need help." And he said, "What?" I said, "She fucking threw that rock on my foot and it hurts. Get it off."
Zachary and all them, they're saying that she intentionally did it.
And I yelled at her, said, "You fucking bitch." Said, "You fucking hit me with the fucking rock, you fucking bitch."
The slave had committed a fatal error.
I assume Vera apologized and she didn't.
No, she didn't apologize. She never apologizes.
From this point on, things went downhill.
It all happened events after that.
Now, she just said 2 or 3 other times prior to that she kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I don't know why she's saying "I'm sorry," but she kept saying "I'm sorry." So which is it, right? Did she always apologize and you didn't know why she was apologizing, or did she never apologize?
After she got the bricks, was on her foot.
The rock hit on Sherry's foot, and then that's when they were going to plan on throwing Vera on the tracks.
Sherry made a little joke about wanting to drug Vera with her sleeping pills, and Zachary wanted to get her high and everything, and then mix those together and then let her walk the tracks at nighttime. Eventually she would fall over and lay right in the middle of the tracks.
What a good joke.
When she said you need to cut her up, put her on the tracks, then she looked towards Vera, smiled, and turned back.
And there will be no way of the conductor to stop the train in time.
She thought if she did get squished by the train, then there wouldn't be any fingerprints because he would be like hamburger meat.
So basically, she wanted to kill her.
On Sunday, March 20th, Danny and Nicole ran from the assault charge in Tiffin and arrived at the Brooks house.
If she is passed away, okay. One monster down. Still other people deserve some charges here. But it's my understanding that's a lie, because there's locals saying no, she's not, that it's not true. So, and I don't think it's true as well, but we will find out if she is or isn't, you know. Let's say she is, I'll still try to talk to everybody else involved, but it's I'm hearing it's not true. So, but we'll find out if she is or isn't.
That evening, they met a being named Vera who, already living in a perpetual state of terror, could no longer be considered human.
She stayed in her room 24/7. She barely ever came out unless Sherry called her.
And she was basically like this. Wouldn't look you in the eye. Wouldn't talk. If somebody walked in the house, she'd go to the bedroom by herself.
If she's sitting there and she's just curled up like this and looking up like this every now and then going back down, I mean, you get this idea that she was
good. I'm glad it's being
kind
worked
of
on.
psychically dead as a, you know, anyway.
Meanwhile, Vera's baby daddy had found a kindred spirit bonding with his long-lost Crip brother.
Oh,
connection between Zach and Danny.
They seem very dependent on each other. Like, they seemed very close for just knowing each other for that little of time.
For the next 4 days, they unleashed an animalistic rage that is hard, but not impossible to explain.
Sherry Brooks and the entire family was telling Danny stories.
For the past 3 years, he lived here at Allen Correctional.
Guys who in prison had been raped, when they come out, it's like they want to get revenge on somebody.
And gangbangers in their bloody code of survival is very, very real.
Well, I know she's all about the Crip stuff, because when we were at the funeral, she was talking all about Punky.
Yeah, Pointer, we'll find out. Like I said, there's locals that email me and stuff. And if you want to email me in chat, because I mean, good, we're working on the case, but I don't really know who anyone is yet. So I'm not even sure who you are. We have interviewed her. She is a character. I bet. And if you want to email me, I think it's in the description, or my mods could drop it in chat if you want to email me. But yeah, I've been talking to several people, which I'm interested. I'll be definitely getting in touch with everyone this week. And if people want to plan and come on and talk, we want to know exactly how we can be of use in the community and help in any way to do whatever we can, because it's terrible. This is terrible. No, I'm not sure she's dead, but I don't know. We'll find out if she is or isn't. Someone's saying she is, and I've heard that she isn't by some locals, so I'm not 100%. We'll find out. How do you say XX Quick Scooper 1811? Okay, that's a long name. I'm just gonna call you XX.
Sherry.
And she had a blue bandana around his flowers.
Do you think Sherry thinks she's a Crip?
Yeah, for sure.
So as far as this gang affiliation, who's the first Crip amongst the Brookses?
Punky.
This is why, when interviewed for this project, Danny's response was so chilling.
When he mentioned something about Punky, they all like get this thing of thinking that she's disrespectful to Punky.
But she was being accused of more than just disrespecting Punky. Zachary and Sherry told Danny, who was in prison when it happened, that she had murdered him. In their most vicious lie of all, knowing full well how he would react, they convinced Danny it was Vera who pushed Punky in front of the cab.
Did you ever hear any of that?
No, but that is just messed up, just to tell anybody Vera was the one to push Punky, because there's a lot of people that would take up for Punky.
So not only was Vera a threat to Sherry's precious baby Willadean, she also killed the Brooks gang's leader. Now Sherry wanted something done about it.
Nicole was just another opportunity for her to do her mind games with.
She wants to be a people pleaser so bad. She wants friends so bad that she just
She couldn't see it coming at all, especially not with somebody as conniving as Sherry is.
From what she either says or does.
So she died within the last couple of weeks then, if that's true, because yeah, I was on her Twitter as well. She has Twitter, Instagram, she's got it all. And yeah, she was just tweeting in May all over the Twitters, so which doesn't align with the fake obituary that I read of when she died like a year ago or something like that. So that's why I'm like, I don't think it's true. So, but I mean, we'll find out. If you want to email me, we can find out, because I will call the police. I will call people. I'm not afraid.
Everybody else.
Me too. I hope so
and
too. If she's dead, okay, one
does what
monster
they're
down.
told.
It was like the female Charlie Manson. Like if Charlie Manson had a girl form, it would be her.
Sherry is the one that told him to do it. He did say that.
Since she knew Danny was in the Crips and she believes that she is a Crip, she pretty much put it into Danny's mind, like, hey, help us out.
Then Sherry's little helpers got busy.
Chucky's padlock from his school locker was sitting on the stand, and they just happened to pick it up and hook it to the belt. And then all of a sudden, that's when they started hitting Vera in the head and the body with it.
It was their weapon of choice after that. That and a big, long paddle with a number 3 on it.
Nicole took the paddle and beat Vera's ass, and Vera had a bruise on her ass. And all Vera had on was a T-shirt and her underwear.
And the more Vera screamed, the more it became sexual.
I think Nicole gets off of a lot of violence.
And Nikki was like she was getting real excited, and then she'd go over and start kissing on Danny like she was being turned on for what she was doing.
I think once Danny started beating her, he couldn't stop. He got off on it. Basically, he says, now this is getting fun.
When she got hit, her hand went up like this, and it accidentally hit Nicole's boob. And Nicole said, oh, bam, right across the face. Now you're doing a lesbian act on me?
After the beatings, Vera, they would run up to the room where they were sleeping at to pretty much get it on.
The idea that after they had beaten Vera, they would go upstairs and have sex would also indicate that there was some sort of real psychological thrill about this.
I don't know if you know, but almost every bone in her face was broke.
You think?
A lot of that's from being slugged for looking at Danny.
Nicole punched Vera right square in the nose like this.
Vera was not even interested in Danny. That was all brought up because Sherry kept saying that, yeah, Vera will sleep with any of them. She slept with all my sons. She'll sleep with Danny too.
And then as soon as they would beat on her, they'd run right upstairs and have sex, and then come right back down and beat on Vera again. Like it turned them on.
By this admission, when you consider whose bedroom was downstairs, Danny and Nicole were not the only ones getting off on it.
It always happens in Mother's room for some reason.
All the beatings were in your mom.
Yes.
Sherry just spoke out. She just said, hit her again.
She thinks it's cute of Vera having black eyes and stuff, said she looked like a little squirrel.
Like, she wants everybody to know that she wanted her to be hit.
She kept hitting her head like this on the dresser, and Nikki kept saying, can I kill her? Can I kill her? Can I kill her?
And through it all, to quote Danny Bixler, Vera just took it.
That's when he pretty much mud stomped. You know, it's a Southern term. It's where when they're on the ground, you just stomp them until they're pretty much weakened to where they can't even get up again.
When somebody gets beat up in prison, they call it that way.
Her injuries from the mud stomping were all too evident the following day, when amazingly, they took a break from beating Vera and walked her across the street to lunch.
Somebody else actually told us what she wanted. It looked like her lip had been busted right here.
We talked about it.
I don't even know. Yeah, as if you're, yeah. She was like, "Oh, Vera likes to rub my feet." No, the fuck, she did not like to rub those feet. No, no, no. I like. This is one of the most terrible things I've ever heard in my life. It's worse than my life, you guys. That's terrible. That's why I always knew there was my story's fucked up, but there was always worse than what I've been through. This is worse. This is worse. This is terrible. And I hope that that lady did die because I think other people would catch a charge to make sure she was dead, and nobody needs to catch a charge for that bitch. It is really heavy, you guys, but it is important to share it. So like I said, I probably already have a strike claim for doing this, but I don't care.
After we were done, after they had left, we all said, "Man, did you see that girl's face?"
I'd made the comment to Shane and a couple of other people. I said, "Man, she looks like she went through the windshield of a car."
Zachary Brooks sentenced to 4 years in state prison for previous theft charge and obstruction of justice. Wow. Wow. Rubber feet and back. Yeah, so far this documentary is all I've seen, but throughout the week I'm going to be watching more. I guess there's this is terrible, you guys. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, it is all of them, the girlfriends, the friends, like nobody did anything to save her. And I don't understand still, like, well, I get Vera's real mom did try to get her out of there, but again, Vera was of age to say no, but she just wasn't mentally stable to say like no. And they never took her away. You have the one doctor even saying he can't believe that no one took Vera separate away from Sherry, because of course when you're around her, you're not going to say like, yeah, I want to get the fuck away from her, right? So she was failed horribly, horribly, horribly failed. Her daughter was failed. She was failed. Multiple other children were failed. No one was ever charged for torturing Vera inside the Brooks home. Nobody was ever charged. A Findlay man was sentenced to 4 years in prison Wednesday for hindering the police investigation of the murder of Vera-Jo Reigle, a woman with whom he has a child. Zachary C. Brooks, 19, pled guilty last week to 2 third-degree felony charges of obstruction of justice. He was sentenced Wednesday in Hancock County Common Plea Court to serve 2 years on each count. So, okay, so he really got 4 years. Wow. The prosecutor and defense lawyer agreed to recommend the prison terms and also recommend that the judge, Reginald Rowston, consider the possibility of releasing Brooks from prison after he has served 6 months. Reigle, 24, was stabbed 21 times on March 26. Afterward, Brooks misled police by claiming she left the Brooks family Center Street home with a boyfriend the night she was killed. Oh, yeah, that's right. She took off with some black guy she was dating. Okay, but she had a baby with Zachary. Okay. She didn't even have a phone. Remember, they wouldn't even let her have a cell phone, so don't know how she had a boyfriend. And the night she was killed, and not with Daniel M. Bixler and Nicole R. Peters. Bixler, 19, of Tiffin and Peters. Okay, well, they saw them on the security camera walking towards the train tracks. God damn it. So they wanted him to do 6 months, which is why they tried to get him to actually get custody of Vera's daughter. Fuck out of here. Guys, this is so wrong. It ain't even, like, I don't even know what to say. This is disgusting.
As it became clear the legal system was going to minimize the enormity of what had happened to Vera, frustration grew throughout the community. This led to the formation of Voices for Vera, an activist group dedicated to bringing the people who brutalized her to justice.
We don't understand. We don't know why that there was only 2 people that was charged with this murder. There was so many people involved, and there's only 2 people that's being charged with it, except for lying to the police. Wow.
Nor did anyone in the prosecutor's office figure out the author of these lies.
Vera-Jo Reigle. And her daughter's name, I'm not sure how to say it. I think it's Wildema. I can't. XX. What is Vera's daughter's name? You have to know the facts and not read the news. Yeah, well, like I said, we'll get people up here. More than welcome up here to talk. And trust me, I know as I dig into multiple cases, this is my first rodeo that the media manipulates people.
Evidenced by how the judge sentenced Sherry for passing on secondhand information that she herself had created.
Mrs. Brooks has a relatively long criminal history, mostly minor offenses, those of a minor nature, but at least one felony offense, albeit some years ago.
Willadean.
With respect to Ms. Brooks' involvement in this particular case, it appears that Ms. Brooks' participation is slightly, and I underscore slightly, less serious than that.
You guys read that? Sherry Brooks sentenced to 5 years probation. 5 years probation for obstruction of justice. Her 30 days in county jail suspended due to foot problems that she blames on Vera.
Of the others who've been involved, because it appears that her crime involves the passing along of secondhand information, which nonetheless misled the officers, but it appears to be more of a secondhand information that she passed along as opposed to firsthand information.
Not only was the court fooled about Sherry's role in making up the cover story, no one even bothered to determine when she told her family to say it.
Who told you what the cover story was? Sherry?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
When Vera was sleeping from her bruises, because I had to actually do her dang feet that night. What? Yeah, there was one night I had to do her feet because Vera was too wounded to.
Scotty is talking about Thursday, following Vera's mud stomping.
I believe, yes, I believe he did do her feet that night.
And that's when she said if they would kill her, and I hope they don't, like, throwing it off, that we would have to have a cover story to protect this family.
And him saying there was a cover story cooked up even before the murder?
They had to think of something and put blame on certain people to still try to keep certain members of the family out of it.
The secondhand information that you got.
The secondhand information means that Shannon told me that they took Vera up to the tracks and that they degutted her like a fish and that they left her up there to die. And Shannon said, don't worry about it because she deserved it.
It's like this. You're looking at this hand while something else is going on in this hand, but you're pretty much more interested in this hand.
That's probably what was in her head, was to take Willadean away from Vera, get Vera out of the picture so that
So now the other thing that's familiar is it's always everybody else. It's never Sherry. It's always everybody else. You notice that? I mean,
she could have Willadean as her own child and have her raise it as hers and Michael's, and it's not her child. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong helping Vera with the child, giving her baths, helping her feed her, and helping her change her, you know, taking care of her, but she didn't have to kill Vera, have Vera killed just to take her baby from her.
Yet, incredible as it sounds, this absurd projection of Sherry's own motive became the basis of the state of Ohio's case against Vera's killers.
To the official version of events, Danny Bixer indicated he was upset with Vera-Jo for spraying pepper spray in the home.
Not that Shannon had no involvement in Vera's murder. She did.
It's not only Sherry that was manipulative. Shannon Brooks, Michael Brooks's wife, also said that she was 3 months pregnant. She was never pregnant.
Sherry, I guess, while I was gone, had told Danny and Nicole that I had miscarried. I never told her that I was pregnant. Not one bit did I say that I was pregnant.
Except based on these Facebook timestamps, this claim is a demonstrable lie. Because in addition to posting she was pregnant 2 days earlier, Shannon was talking to Sherry about it the morning of the murder.
If you go with the flow, nothing's going to happen to you. However, once you go with the flow, you do get involved into it, and there's sometimes no turning back.
And then she saw a way out.
They had said that Vera had sprayed the pepper spray upstairs to where it was really bad.
Now you're saying she never even set off the next day.
No, Vera never did. But yes, Shannon did come back furious.
At who?
At Vera.
Shannon was like, that little bitch, if she made me lose my baby, I swear to God, I'm going to kill her. And when she got back, she said she had a miscarriage.
So yeah, Shannon, I don't like her. She definitely got caught in a lie. Well, yeah, I had my phone, but why would I call 911? Like, my phone wasn't really working, and even though I know that even though it's not working, you can still call 911. Oopsie, I just didn't. What the fuck? Don't like her at all. She should be definitely charged with, and like who said, someone, Smoky Blue Days, like literally 4 people have admitted to being accessories before the fact, which I think is just basically make you a participant equally responsible under the law. People are admitting to watching this girl be a slave and be abused, admitting that she would do things to other babies and all of this, and nobody has done shit. No, and they all got slaps on the wrist. 5 months in jail, time stayed, 5 years probation, and because she has foot problems, she doesn't even have to do the 30 days. And then the other dude, 4 years is all he got for just basically lying to police. That's like a Casey Anthony charge right there. And he didn't, as long as he behaved, in jail, if he did, then he probably got out in like 2.5 years. So what the fuck? They all went to a party that night after it happened. Wow.
And that she had to get a DNC and everything else that goes along with a miscarriage.
Nicole had clearly developed a bond with Shannon, but she didn't understand the game.
Vera caused it. But everything on Vera already caused everything else. Vera can cause this too.
And with Danny and Nicole accepting plea bargains, the judge responded to criticism from Voices for Vera.
Obviously, the facts and circumstances of this crime have been the subject of much media and public attention.
Then they hear the judge say, we're going to provide adequate punishment for the ones involved in this. 30 days deferred with 5 years probation and 2.5 years reserved. Dude, put him in jail.
Many interested persons have spoken out in the news media.
Do you think this is one step toward some justice? I mean, what's going through your mind?
I'm hoping it's one step towards justice.
Others have used various forms of social media to express their views. It is, of course, the right of all of our citizens to speak freely and openly, especially on matters of great personal and public interest. But while the sanctity of free speech is beyond question, it must also be remembered that opinion unconnected to fact, the law, or for that matter, reality must be rejected.
But what is the reality the court accepted?
Daniel Bixler, Shannon Brooks, Zachary Brooks, Garth Brooks, Sherry Brooks, and I agreed to kill Vera-Jo Reigle on March 26, 2011. We agreed to do this because Shannon Brooks said Vera-Jo Reigle caused her to miscarry.
Only, was this really the motive? Well, I guess if you believe the source used by Nicole's lawyers.
Nikki's lawyer had came to the house to talk to me and was wondering, why was Vera killed? Was it because of jealousy, because Nikki thought she wanted Danny? Or was it because of the miscarriage? And I said, well, for one, Vera always will love Zachary. And she went to her grave loving Zachary.
So imagine Sherry's delight at being presented with this smorgasbord of her own lies.
Vera was killed later on because of the miscarriage of Shannon.
But events leading up to the murder paint a very different picture. For example, the first time Vera got stabbed wasn't even that day.
She went into the bathroom and Danny and them followed her. That's the first stabbing was when Danny stabbed her in the leg.
Well, Sherry said she took her finger and stuck it in the hole of this, where the hole of her sore where they stabbed her.
My finger went that far into her leg.
This is no nightmare. This was Vera's final day of life.
That is one of the ones that were mean to Vera.
Sure.
Yes.
She had to pick up the dog poop of Jackson and eat it.
I think they said Chucky
I'm
made
pretty sure it
her
was
eat
him.
the dog poop.
They're all sadistic. They all had to have been.
Talking about they took a plunger and put it up. And
They sodomized her with it, yeah. She was completely.
Mm-hmm. I think she was 24, 25 when she was brutally murdered. Yeah, Chadron. It's unbelievable, you guys. Unfreaking believable. Yeah, XX, I was trying to go to your channel too, and it doesn't let me. So, like I said, I don't really know who you are, or to even, we like to kind of like vouch who people are, somehow vet it. So, again, if you want to email me, I can chat with you this week. But this gets worse and worse. 24 years old when she was murdered. Yeah.
Naked, that she was on her menstrual period that day. They took a toothbrush, they raped her sexually with the toothbrush.
And then she had to use it for her mouth.
The following morning, 5 hours before the mace incident, they were trying to stab her again.
Daniel actually gave me a knife and asked me if I wanted to slice her, cut her up.
This was during a visit from Punky's baby mama, Angel Might.
I do know Zachary was hitting her, and then I can't remember if it was Danny or Nicole or both of them that actually started hitting her too.
And telling her to, shut up, bitch, be quiet. I'm hitting you, shut the fuck up, and, just hit her.
Yeah, her and her mother and her brother sat there for 45 minutes, they said, watching this episode going on.
Not only Nicole and Danny, but then also little Chucky started getting into it, because I saw him with a fishing pole striking Vera.
Sherry had made up this thing. I don't know how true it was, but supposedly Vera had given little Kay sour milk.
She had gave him, little Kay the same milk that he went to bed on. Instead of coming out and rinsing the cup out and giving him fresh milk, she just went on and gave that to him and told him, get back on the couch and lay back down, and covered him up.
She was scared.
All
crunched up in a little ball, like in a fetal position. She lifted her head once and I saw a cut on her nose, a split lip.
A half hour after Angel and her mother left, the street fight between the Brookses and the rival neighborhood gang broke out, and someone called the police. This sent Danny, Nicole, and Zachary running to his Aunt Sam's, Samantha Schwab's. They hid there in the basement until the police left, and were next seen 2 hours later, walking in an alley 3 miles away.
I was getting ready to leave to head over to take my kids someplace, and they was walking up the alley towards my house, and they're like, where are you going? I said, well, we're leaving. He goes, can you get ready to my house?
George Speck lives by the Brooks gang's favorite hangout, the skateboard park.
Who all did you give a ride to? Nicole Peters, Danny Bixler, and Zachary.
His house is also near something else, the railroad tracks where Vera was murdered.
Danny, Nicole, and Zachary was at Samantha Schwab's house over here and walked down these tracks around 4:30. Now, are you telling me that they did not go and try to scout out a place to kill Vera 5 hours later?
From the bridge, they continued down the tracks toward Alan Capp's apartment, which is beside that rail line too. So in addition to casing the murder scene, they were also plotting their escape.
And we just started walking. We were going to walk to somebody's house, and they were supposed to take us to Kentucky.
We know this was their plan because the following day, after Vera was dead and Danny and Nicole were arrested, Zachary started desperately calling Gina, trying to use the escape route for himself.
Every time he'd call, I'd be like, no, you don't need to be coming down here. They're just going to put more stuff on you for running away.
Now, mind you, Danny nor Nicole knew George Speck or Alan Capp. So, who's the ringleader? And where is his sentence? When is he going to get charged for all of this?
By the time the three co-conspirators were riding across town in the back of George's pickup, they already had a cover story, the murder scene scouted, and an escape plan ready to hatch. By 5:15, the Brooks house was filled with pepper spray, forcing a complete evacuation.
The mace was upstairs, but it was coming downstairs once Danny opened the door.
All the windows were open. They were airing the house out.
Hospital records show Shannon arrived at the ER at 5:32 p.m. Around the same time, while the Brooks house was being...
I was wondering about the mace, and a part of me wonders, so did Vera try to escape and like try to mace the house so maybe she could break free? I don't really know. I don't know. Like I said, I've only seen this, so I'm so curious. Why did the mace become a thing? Because they didn't need to do that to get Vera out of the house, right? So, or like, yeah, I don't know why the mace. I have no idea, but I wonder if that was her trying to make an escape just a few hours before she was brutally murdered. I don't know. They were failed. They were failed terribly. You guys can see though why I can't stop thinking about, yes, Rose Marie Bly and Summer Wells and the boys. Like I can't. It's Judgment Day will come for them all.
Aired out from the mace, Danny and Nicole walked over to his sister's place.
And he told me that they just asked him all day to do something about her.
But was he in a rage strong enough to kill Vera?
They were just, saying how much they just didn't want her around anymore. And I mean, I just figured that they would either kick her out or something like that, or just tell her to get her kid and leave. But that wasn't even
obviously that wasn't what they were thinking.
From what I've been told is that you were getting this kind of pressure before the mace ever went off.
Yeah, I was getting pressured into it way before all that.
So by elevating Shannon from bit player to a starring role, prosecutors got it backwards. Like breaking her nose for pushing the baby into a coffee table, or beating her to a pulp for eating Punky's Kit Kat bar. They needed a rationalization to blame the victim, an excuse to punish her. That means Vera was not killed because they accused her of setting off the mace. They accused her of setting off the mace for a reason to kill her.
It was mainly all coming from Sherry and Zach. They were the main two that was pushing everything towards me and Nicole. They were offering me money and everything to take care of Vera, to get rid of her.
At 9 o'clock, Zachary summoned Danny, Nicole, and his brother Garth to Scotty's room.
Yeah, Holocene, it is disturbing, but it's important to put it out there. It's so fucked up. No, she wasn't a baby. She had a baby, though. Hiding behind their badge. Mind manipulation, for sure, and a little bit of probably Stockholm syndrome.
I overheard the things, and I was pretty much like, nah, they're not really going to do it.
This meeting was to decide where to kill Vera.
That's right, Charlotte. Yes, yep. I've been emailing a little bit with Charlotte, and we will discuss further. And yeah, you guys, and also Leah. There's several people who are locals who know this well, who know people who are close to this, and like I said, this is just. I wanted you guys to watch this with me because this is definitely. More conversations coming about this, so I wanted to watch it all together so you guys know and however we can come together and be helpful and useful and rally behind Vera and her daughter to try and get proper justice, or at least put the awareness out there so people know about these monsters that are walking around free and nobody else can be victimized by these horrible people.
Danny wanted to do it in a park they checked out earlier in the day, which he felt was more secluded.
You remember that park, Alan, that me, you, and Garth went fishing at?
It's right over there by, you know, Center Street's at?
Yeah.
That park that goes down Center Street, right by the bridge.
But Zachary wanted to go back to the bridge, insisting they stick to the plan of having the train turn Vera's body into hamburger.
They wanted everybody to think that the train hit her.
As the murderers went into action, Vera began to panic.
When they told her to put her shoes on, you know, she was like yelling, why? You know, like, why? Why do you want me to get my shoes on? And Zach.
Okay. Again, I'm tying this to the Wells, the Hair, the Bly crew, because they wanted to do to Vera something that had already happened once years prior in their family to a different family member, and thought, oh, we'll get away with this because this happens, and it happened to another one of our family members years prior. Hello, what does this sound familiar again? Wake up, people. Like,
Zachary had went up to her and said, just get your effing shoes on, you know? So
Who was telling her to put her shoes on?
Zachary and Danny. And then Nicole had come in and she was standing right by Vera's door, and she's like, you need to put your damn shoes on right now. And then Vera didn't hesitate. She put her shoes on, and Zachary said he was going to go with them.
But apparently this was no comfort, because judging Vera's reaction, She was just as scared to leave with Zachary.
I think she knew what was going to happen. I was sitting on the couch right by her room. She was looking at me for like a way out. Like, you know, she was trying to tell me to help her.
When it became clear Shannon was no help, she reached out to Scotty.
She knew what's going to come. That's why she asked me to come along with her.
Because, you know, she felt safe with him. And she wanted Scotty to walk with her.
But I told her, hold up, I would have to go upstairs real quick to get my shoes. Well.
So again, I have so many questions for Shannon because you're saying she was looking to you to save her and help her. And you did nothing, ignored her. And then this motherfucker was like, oh, well, you know, I don't know. Let me go get my shoes and blah, blah, blah. How are they not in trouble or in jail? Like, Shannon, I want to talk to you, but holy shit, do you ever belong in jail? And does she ever remind me of Courtney Struebel's supposed bestie, Nicole?
As I got upstairs, I was pretty much stopped from leaving.
Who stopped?
I was supposed to say Danny. It wasn't. It was Zachary who stopped me.
Who told you to say Danny?
My mother. But like I said, Zachary's the one who stopped me, not Danny. Even though I told the police it was Danny.
And why would he say that?
That I think he already knew what was up and he wanted to protect me.
Scotty was not the only one prevented from going.
When Zachary was told to go upstairs,
No, I don't like any of these people. Needs more than jail. Yeah. You know what? I never tell anyone to reach out to anyone, but if you find these people on social media or a way to message any of these people, you give them my email and you tell them I want to talk to them. And I will bite my tongue and I will be respectful in Vera's name and Willed Maria, her daughter, for Vera and her daughter. I will be respectful so that we can have them on here and talk, right? You know that, right? I will bite my tongue and be respectful and play nice in Vera's name to get these people to talk as much as possible. You guys already know. Willadean. Sorry, Willadean. Why can't I can't remember. I was afraid to butcher it because I don't want to do that. Willadean. That's pretty. Okay. Yeah, I want to get these people up here because Willadean survived through this, and I want to make sure that people pay. This is terribly disturbing. Shannon.
to get Scotty, it was right at that time that she told Zachary, no, you're not going to be a part of what they're going to do.
Then they hustled Vera outside, ignoring her pleas for her life.
She said, I don't want to go. I want to stay here. And she was crying. Vera was crying, wanted to stay home. And Nicole said, no, you're going with me now. I'm going to crack your head right here on the porch.
The temperature was below freezing that night. Yet Danny wore a borrowed pair of dark blue gym shorts out of respect for their former owner, Punky Brooks. He also wore a blue Crips bandana, signaling this was official gang business.
The ones that they believe happened first, because then there was lay where people had stabbed the same areas. From what I heard, the first ones were weaker, coming from a weaker person, female, possibly.
She was cut from almost ear to ear in a very sort of sawing motion. It was described as by the coroner.
This initial failed attempt, as Vera's recovered sweatshirt shows, happened while she was still dressed.
And one final act of humiliation, they forced her to strip.
Yeah, they found the clothes scattered around in the trees and stuff, in the bushes. They found like her panties and I think her shirt. They took them off and then just threw them. Didn't even try to like hide that.
The full day to day and a half before the murder actually happened, that they were completely messed up the whole time. Like there was not one sober moment.
He was heavily using alcohol, marijuana, cocaine.
And that's because, if I'm not mistaken, they tried to stage it to look like she was just raped and murdered by a homeless man that lived around there, is what they tried to do. So they had it all planned out on stage. Again, sound familiar? Yeah, Danny's out. I believe he's out. Yeah. I have to send you some info on the McCall parental trafficking case. Okay. I hear voices 19@yahoo.com. I'll throw it in chat really quick. Okay, so I pinned my email if anyone needs it for anything, to send me anything. It's pinned there.
And by his own account, an excessive amount of ecstasy.
When questioned about why Vera was made to get naked, Nicole Peters replied, "It wasn't working at first." Asked what his girlfriend meant by this odd statement, Danny Bixler explained, "That knife was dull as hell and she couldn't get it through the clothes," which, by strange coincidence, is the exact same reason given by Sherry Brooks.
The only thing I can think of is if you take your clothes off, well, then you get to the bare skin and it'll go faster.
These details, told in separate jailhouse interviews by two people Sherry had not spoken to since the night of the murder, are something only the killers would know.
When they were stabbing at her, maybe it wasn't that she was dying fast enough for them because of the clothes. When you stab somebody, that snags the clothes.
So what appeared to be a staged sexual assault was actually just laziness, and they needed Vera's help to make it easier to kill her.
It's almost as if he's attempting to minimize his conduct. There's 21 stab wounds, but he said he only did 6. But an examination of those 6 stab wounds is also very telling. First, the legs. Why was she stabbed in the legs? He said it was to keep her from running away so they could continue the abuse. She couldn't get out of that situation.
Then he mounted her from behind, reached around, and cut her throat.
They tried to cut her head off, but couldn't get through this bone here. So it's like cut from here to their spine bone back there.
I think they laid her out on the tracks after they slaughtered her neck to make it look like the train cut her neck like that.
And then they fled, leaving Vera behind, still alive.
He left her to bleed out on the railroad tracks alone, naked and in the cold. And from there, he told the detectives he went to party.
So
They were celebrating, yeah.
They called me up and then they told me what they did. But I thought they were messing with me. So I walked back to their house to see if it was true.
I look at Nicole and she got this big smile on her face, and she puts her arms out like this, like she wants me to hug her. And she's like, it's done, no more. And I was scared. And she just comes in and hugs me.
When they did come back, Danny went over to Zachary and patted him on the back.
When I go back in the living room and Danny's in there high-fiving Zachary, and then they go into Sherry's room and they're both, kind of laughing.
And I got there, they were talking about how they killed her and stuff, but I didn't believe it. Because after they said they did it, Sherry was talking about how she was with Larry, her boyfriend.
And then that's when Nicole had said, I got my first teardrop. I finally got it.
And she says it's to Sherry?
She says it's to Sherry. And she gives Sherry a hug. And Sherry hugs her back and they start laughing.
And why wouldn't they celebrate? To them, Vera was the abuser of baby Willadean, killer of Punky, smasher of Sherry's feet. Now that evil bitch was out of Zachary's life, and she left without taking Sherry's baby.
They came back and switched clothes,
and then pretty much went out to get drunk.
Sherry called me and said Danny wants to come back over.
While Vera's body was still warm, Nicole was visibly excited.
She was excited and ecstatic. She wasn't sorry. You could see that in her face.
She was smiling and happy and just, like I've never seen somebody that happy before.
But on the tracks, something was happening. Vera was becoming an angel, and she had a few surprises. Using her last ounce of energy, she pulled herself off the rails and contracted into a ball only 12 inches high.
She curled up in a fetal position. That's the way she always slept, in a fetal position.
Miraculously, this allowed the front of the train, which police later found to have a 13-inch clearance, to pass over without touching her.
I started feeling like something was wrong when Zach decided to pretty much drink the entire one entire bottle of vodka to himself.
The angel started haunting Zachary, whose actions the rest of that night speak for themselves.
Zachary said out loud that he only went to get drunk so he can forget about the whole entire thing.
And he looked all depressed and upset about something, like he was involved deeply with his own thoughts.
Zach was doing like weird stuff, like hit his head on walls and stuff.
And I was talking to him, I'm like, so why is he so sad? And I'm like, what's going on? And then that's when Danny decided to say, well, I slit her throat. And I was like, what'd you do? He's like, I slit that bitch's throat.
So it was Zach's guilty conscience that led Desta to confront her brother, which ultimately broke open the case.
They're sick. They need help. But when it's their time and they have to meet their maker, hey.
And when it came to motive, on the final day of court, the judge admitted he still had no idea why the murder happened.
As we grapple to make sense of this, perhaps, as some have suggested, that our community has failed Vera-Jo Reigle, and I'm sure that debate will continue. But we must also not forget that there were those who were directly responsible for Ms. Reigle's death, and in particular, defendant Daniel Bixler, who is here today for the court for sentencing. The evidence reveals that on March 26th of 2011, the defendant assumed the role of self-appointed judge, jury, and executioner. For what?
Okay, Danny's
Jealousy,
not free.
Revenge, unfocused rage, some perverse sense of family honor. It doesn't appear we'll ever really know.
Danny should not be the only one in prison.
In the end, Vera is an angel. One whose wretched life and bad death shines a light on the rest of us.
And Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to read a letter that was found in Vera-Jo's purse after she was murdered. This is what it says. It says, I love you, Willadean. You are a good little baby girl to us. I'm glad to be your mommy, and I'm glad that I had you on November 4th at 4:16 a.m. 6 pounds, 2 ounces, 19 inches long. Mommy loves you.
Worse, by not getting convicted of a major felony, Zachary still had parental rights to Willadean.
Oh, yeah, or they would not be making a reunification plan for Zachary to get his daughter back.
A case already being discussed when Zachary's friend Alan Capp arrived at 10 o'clock on the night of the murder.
All I heard is some about them wanting to kill Vera about custody.
She had that in her mind that that's her kid now, and that Vera had it, but that's her kid now, and she's going to keep it. And she had to get rid of Vera because Vera wanted to move out and take the baby too.
Like, I was right here, and then their room's like right here. They're all in a group talking about killing Vera.
Okay, so custody meaning what?
Like, if Vera dies, then Zach gets custody.
But why, at this moment, were they celebrating Zachary getting sole custody? According to the lawyers, it was all about Shannon's phony miscarriage, wasn't it?
They were talking about Zach having custody. They didn't ever said anything about Shannon.
A version of events confirmed by the killer himself.
And did they give it an indication of why they wanted this done with Vera?
Mainly because they wanted Vera out of the picture, and they
of the house, and then Vera would get full custody of her and Zach's daughter, and they didn't want Vera to have full custody.
It is a hope Sherry still holds strong as she sits in great anticipation, waiting for the return of her lost little baby girl.
I added Daddy to the picture. Had to copy her daddy there because I'm getting ready to frame it and stuff to show him Zachary and her look alike.
It's nearing the end of June.
The morning after Vera's body was discovered, Sherry Brooks contacted Hancock County Children's Services to request that her son Zachary be granted custody of Willadean. The morning after Vera was found murdered, she contacted about getting custody of that baby.
And I just passed your birthday, the first one that you spent underground.
Months later, the judge denied that request, and the little girl was put up for adoption. To prove his fitness as a parent, Zachary had been required to have 2 supervised visits, but he failed to appear for the second one, which the court used against him in its ruling.
I really missed you. So to feel close to you, I feel.
He did not come back because his first visit had been cut off after 15 minutes due to his daughter's hysterical crying and refusal to let him touch her.
Visited your gravesite, but I just felt further from you.
It says little baby Willadean stood up for her mommy.
Further than I understood. I'll miss you, but
Terrible, you guys. Terrible. Tomorrow we're gonna have a open discussion about this, and like I said, I want to definitely dig more into this. I want to talk to people. I don't understand this. I need to understand more. I don't think I'll ever understand more, but I definitely want to talk to the people because I don't understand it, and it's pissing me off. But what I would like you guys to do is fill the chat with some purple hearts and pick a color for baby Willadean. Willadean. Let's do purple and pink hearts in the chat and show some love and respect for Vera and her daughter, and say a prayer for her daughter tonight, you guys, and remember her, Willadean, in your prayers, because she survived. She is a survivor. No doubt she's going to be super strong, or is super strong, but it's not right what happened. It's not right. It's still not right. But if there's people that know more and they'd like to chat, please hit me up, or I hope that these people chat with me. You guys know I'll be trying to get a hold of them and trying to talk with them, even if they want to just talk privately. I I need to talk to these people and try and understand what the hell happened. I don't understand. But also I want you guys to use this as kind of a template to stop fucking paying suspects and monsters on the YouTubes, you guys, because you never truly know the involvement that they had. And watching this, like, do you guys not think like, holy cow, almost anything brutal and terrible you can think of happened just in this case and situation alone. So you just never know, right? So I would say stop fucking giving suspects and paying their life and their bills. Like, seriously, you guys. Seriously. I'm gonna leave it at that. But thank you so much, my members. Thank you for being a member. Welcome to Crazy Train. Choo choo. I'm not very excited right now. And there was a couple super chats this evening. I appreciate that. And to everyone listening and spending your time to educate yourself on another case and situation and learning more so that you can educate yourself and be aware more for other cases as well. I really appreciate that, you guys. And again, tomorrow, I don't know what time, but I'll do an open panel so we can discuss this and further. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Well, I don't think you can have a good rest of your night, but say a prayer for baby Willadean and Vera today, tonight, this afternoon, whatever time it is for you guys, and then drop purple hearts on your way out. Mods, thank you for looking out tonight. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.